The Galactic Council gathered within the grand chamber of mirrored stone and crystal light, a place where the fate of countless worlds was discussed in voices that could shape empires. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the air with quiet murmurs, their languages translated through beams of pale energy dancing across the hall. At the center of this vast circle stood the High Speaker, whose gaze swept across the assembly as silence fell. For years, the Council had monitored one small blue world orbiting a yellow star at the edge of a quiet spiral arm. Its people had risen from stone tools to orbital stations in less than 3 centuries. They were unpredictable, inventive, and disturbingly efficient at turning war into progress. Reports from exploration fleets warned that this species, known as humans, had achieved things their age should not allow. The High Speaker's voice carried through the chamber like thunder over calm water. The Council must decide whether to extend membership to this world or impose containment. The report suggested humans had developed weapons that bent gravity, ships that moved faster than known drive fields, and technologies that even the oldest empires could not replicate. An envoy from the Tar Federation, a species that had once dominated the arm where Earth resided, rose to speak. His tone was cautious but filled with alarm. The humans had dismantled a fleet of pirates in minutes using autonomous war machines. Their intelligence networks had decoded ancient galactic languages within weeks, and they were expanding, not cautiously but with intent. He paused, his eyes gleaming beneath translucent lids, and declared that humanity posed a future threat to the balance of the galaxy. Others nodded. Some whispered that Earth might already be capable of producing planet-destroying weapons. Others feared they had found ways to control dark matter itself. The High Speaker called for calm. The Council did not move to war easily, yet whispers grew into demands. Humanity was an unknown equation in a fragile balance of power. The old empires remembered what a single unregulated species could do if unchecked. The votes began to form before the debate was over. By dusk of the second rotation, the decision was made. The Galactic Council would send a message to Earth, a warning disguised as diplomacy. If Earth did not agree to disarm its orbital weapons and open its research cores for inspection, the Council would act collectively. The message would be stern but clear. The envoy chosen to deliver the warning was confident. Humanity was young and youth meant fear. They would comply. When the message reached Earth, it arrived through the encoded frequencies used for interstellar treaties. It carried the seal of the Galactic Council, shining in gold across the data stream. The translation was flawless, the tone formal yet heavy with threat. The words were simple. Humanity was to cease all militarization of space, surrender its experimental weapons, and submit to supervision by the Council's inspectors. Failure would result in unified military action by the Council's member races. The signal echoed across Earth's networks, bouncing from orbital relays to ground stations. In the Global Command Center, silence hung for a long moment as the message was displayed. Around the world, governments convened. Civilizations once divided by borders now stood under a single banner, forged from the memory of survival. They had endured pandemics, wars, and centuries of struggle. No alien power would dictate their limits now. A reply was drafted, debated, and finally approved by the Human Coalition Council. It was sent in the same transmission format, short enough to fit in a single pulse of light. The Council received it 72 hours later. The translation was instantaneous. It read only 6 words. Message received, prepare for war. The chamber erupted in disbelief. Some thought it was a mistranslation. Others thought it a bluff. But when scouts were dispatched to monitor the Sol system, their data returned in fragments of static. A network of defense satellites had materialized around Earth's orbit, armed with rail cannons that could fire projectiles at relativistic speeds. Swarms of autonomous drones patrolled the void like silent hunters. The moon's surface was no longer barren but alive with industrial lights, mining complexes, and shipyards producing vessels of a design unknown to any database. Within months, a structure began forming beyond Mars. At first, the observers thought it a habitat ring. But as it grew, it became clear that it was something else. A superstructure the size of a continent. Energy readings exceeded anything recorded in known space. The humans called it a shield. The Council dispatched a peace envoy urging restraint. The envoy never returned. Only fragments of the ship's black box reached back. its last record showing a bright flare before the transmission cut. Panic spread among the member species. Some demanded an immediate strike to prevent further buildup. Others argued for retreat and negotiation. The council hesitated, trapped between fear and pride, but fear won. A combined fleet was assembled, the largest since the ancient wars of the Outer Rim. Over 4,000 warships representing 80 civilizations converged on the edge of human space. Their goal was to disable Earth's defenses and force surrender without total annihilation. The humans, however, had already seen it coming. In the dark between planets, human ships drifted like shadows. Their hulls absorbed light. Their drives left no detectable trace. They watched the invading fleet as it crossed into the outer system. They waited until the enemy was within range of Mars's orbit. Then the silence broke. The human flagship, an angular titan of black alloy, appeared in the center of the fleet formation. It was larger than any known vessel, its surface rippling with patterns of glowing blue light. Without warning, it transmitted a message across all open frequencies. The voice was calm, clear, and unmistakably human. "You were warned. Now you will learn." Every ship in the Council's armada turned weapons toward the unknown vessel. Before they could fire, space itself seemed to twist. Energy readings spiked beyond measurable limits. Then came light, pure blinding light. When the sensors cleared, half the fleet was gone. Not destroyed by explosion, but erased, vaporized by an energy field that left no debris. The survivors tried to retreat, but the human ship moved faster than thought, bending space around itself in ripples of distortion. Missiles vanished before reaching it. Lasers bent off its hull as though swallowed by darkness. The Council's ships opened full bombardment, but for every volley fired, the humans countered with precision strikes that shredded dreadnoughts apart. In less than an hour, the once mighty fleet had been reduced to wreckage drifting through silent space. The Council's communication hub received the battle report in fragments. No one could understand how a single human fleet could defeat thousands of ships. Some claimed the humans had weaponized gravity. Others said they had built weapons that manipulated time. None could confirm what truly happened. In the days that followed, human transmissions filled the void. They declared that Earth would no longer hide in the shadows of the galaxy. They would not conquer, but they would never again be threatened. The Council's leaders convened once more in the Grand Chamber. The High Speaker demanded calm, but the unity that once held the Council together had fractured. Some races began seeking alliances with Earth out of fear. Others fled their territories entirely, abandoning border worlds near human space. The Tar Federation, once loudest in its warnings, was now silent. Its fleets had been the first to fall. Entire star systems under its control had gone dark, not destroyed but cut off. When probe ships were sent to investigate, they found their beacons disabled and the space around them saturated with interference. It was as if humanity had drawn a line around its region of space, and anything crossing it vanished. Rumors spread across the stars. Some said humans had discovered a form of artificial intelligence so advanced it had become self-aware, commanding fleets without human oversight. Others whispered that Earth had found remnants of an ancient civilization buried within its solar system, unlocking forbidden knowledge. But the truth was simpler. Humanity had evolved not through ancient secrets or alien technology, but through relentless will. Every threat, every challenge, every attempt to contain them had only strengthened their resolve. Months passed and humanity's reach expanded. They built colonies across their system, then beyond. A single message appeared in every major communication network, transmitted through frequencies once reserved for Council orders. It read, "We will not begin war. But should you bring it to us, we will finish it." The message was signed not by a government, not by a leader, but by humanity. Across the galaxy, silence followed. No one dared test their resolve again. The Council began to dissolve, its authority fading as member species withdrew to fortify their own worlds. Years later, the ruins of the Council chamber stood as a reminder of arrogance. The galaxy had learned that threats meant nothing to those who had faced extinction before. Humanity had risen beyond fear, yet they did not seek conquest. They sent aid to worlds struck by disasters. They shared medicine and technology, but never weapons. They warned that power without restraint destroys its wielder first. Still, whispers continued that Earth's greatest weapon had never been seen. That the ship which destroyed the fleet was only one among many. That somewhere beyond Neptune, humanity had built something vast, something watching. Travelers who passed near Sol claimed to